Let me just... got the gigs, right. So right. You're not recording that, are you? What's up everyone? Luke here, and today we're going to be learning the front flip. Okay, so pretty self-explanatory. Front flip is a somersault in the air where you go over your head forwards. Okay, now we're not going to be doing the front flip from standing. We're going to be taking a run into that, but I'll cover that slightly later. All right. Now, when we take off for the front flip, we want to take off on the ball of our foot. Now, as I mentioned last week, the ball of your foot is this bit here, so just before your toes and just after the arch of your foot. Okay, you want to spring through your toes as you throw your arms directly up in the air. You don't want to throw them forwards, because if you throw them forwards, you'll go forwards. Okay, now when you throw your arms in the air, you want to almost think as if you're throwing in football. When you do a throw in, you hold it nice and far by the top of your head and you throw it as far as you possibly can upwards. So if you shoot an arrow forward, it's going to go forward and dip. If you shoot it nice and high up and forward, it will go a lot further. Okay, so that's what we're thinking about when we do the front flip. Throw your arms up nice and high as you spring through your toes. Have your knees a little bit bent so you can extend up nice and high, and also you want to throw your hips up. Okay, now everyone forgets this when they're learning front flips. Your hips are what causes your rotation, and your hips are the center of gravity. So if your hips are down here, that's where you're rotating. If your hips are up here, that is where you're rotating. So once you're in the air, you're going to come into sort of this position. I want you to bring your hands to your knees and your chest to your knees. If you bring your knees to your chest, you'll be counteracting the rotation, so you'll end up doing a backflip. So you must bring your hands and your chest down to your knees. Okay, and now the front flip has what's called a blind landing. So in a backflip, you're going over, you can sort of spot the floor as you're landing. With a front flip, you're coming out and your knees are going to be in front of your face. Okay, so you're not going to be able to see the floor. You can sort of color recognition to do a spot. So if you see blue, obviously you know you're halfway around, you can see the sky. What I tend to do is I can actually spot down the bottom left of my body. So I don't physically turn my head that way, but I just look down that way so I can sort of see grass. But generally it's just aerial awareness and muscle memory. You'll develop the understanding of when to open up over time. So as you're coming out from the landing, all you want to do is land on the balls of your feet and bend your knees slightly. Obviously you don't want your knees straight because they might pop and your knees might pop out. When you're first starting, you can have your hands in front of you or to the side just for a little bit of balance, but eventually you want to just be able to land comfortably where you can just continue the run or whatever it is you're coming out from. Okay, so now we know the understanding of how the flip works. I'll talk you through how to actually go into it. Okay, right, I'm right footed, so I'm going to have my right foot forward and I'm going to jump into 2 feet. Okay, as my right foot comes forward, both arms come up. So then when I jump into the 2 feet, my arms are already in the air ready to throw. Okay, so it'll look like this. My right foot's forward, arms are up, into 2 feet, and a big throw. All right, now another thing which you want to focus on when you're running into it, obviously make sure before the 2-footed punch, you take off with your dominant foot. That's important. There's no point taking off your weaker foot because obviously you'll get no power out of the flip itself. But you want to do something which is called blocking. Now blocking is where you take off with your feet slightly in front of your body, so your chest is leaning back. Now if I take off at this angle, so if you watch my back foot, if I take off at this angle, my chest's lower to the floor, which means when I throw my arms, I'm just going to go down. If I take off at this angle, I'm going to convert all the forward momentum that I have into height, so I can get enough height to actually rotate and land the flip with ease. When you get comfortable with this trick, obviously you can start to add more of a run in. The other way you can learn this trick is actually my favorite one. I'll quickly break this down now. It's called the Russian front flip. Now this technique is exactly the same with the block in, the takeoff and everything. You're still taking off 2 feet. So my right foot is forward and then I'll jump into 2. But this time, instead of my arms coming up, I'll actually circle them round and throw them backwards like that. Now what that does is it sort of connects my arms and my hips together. So as my arms come up, my hips have to come up. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, your hips are your center of gravity. So when your hips come up, if they come up to here, that's where you're rotating. If they come up to here, that's where you're rotating. So When you do the Russian front, you generally tend to get your hips a lot higher than if you do the normal front flip. Therefore you get a lot more height, a lot less stress on your knees, etc, etc. But that is the only difference, apart from obviously your arms are already back, so it wouldn't make sense when you're in the air to then bring them forward and bring them over the front of your leg. You generally tuck underneath, so you'd grab your hamstring, which is the muscle underneath your leg, as where in the front flip where you throw your arms forward, you generally grab your shin. So nice and tight, getting your calf as close to your butt as you can and pulling in a nice tight ball. One general tip to remember, guys, the faster you tuck and the harder and tighter you tuck, the faster you will spin with any flip at all. Okay, also it's best to stay in a ball. If you stay in a ball and you land on your shoulder, you're a lot more protected than if your arm's dangling out and you land on your shoulder. You could dislocate it, break it, fracture it, anything like that. So if you know that you're not very comfortable with this, stay in a ball, you're generally safest there. Okay, I'm going to show you a few progressions now into how to get into the front flip and how to actually get it started. First progression, just a basic gymnastics roll. Second progression, slightly more dived into a gymnastics roll. I want you to go for a nice high parkour roll. I don't say gymnastics on this one because it will hurt your head or your back quite a lot. So a nice high parkour roll looks like this. Fourth progression, guys, unfortunately there's not a lot else you can do apart from that. Just get really comfortable with that third progression, the really high dive roll. All you have to do is go for it now. Okay, now the safest thing which I can suggest is, if those of you who don't have access to a gym or anything like that, get some bed sheets, some pillows, some mattresses. This is what I did when I first started. There's no excuses for not being able to do this. Anyone can just grab a few sheets and stuff from their bed, or even go to a sand pit, wood chip or something like that. You're just going to have to throw the front flip. Just get used to it. It's just trial and error. There's not a lot else you can do. I'll show you a few examples now. I'll show you both the overhand throw front flip and the Russian front flip throw. Alright guys, so just to summarise, first step with the front flip, obviously get used to blocking. Remember, feet in front of your chest, chest in your back converts the forward momentum into upward momentum. Okay, if you're doing the overarm throw front flip, make sure your arms are already up, nice and high above your head. Don't start with them by your hips and then throw up, because you'll waste energy by doing that. Okay, as you throw your arms up, you spring through your toes and your legs, your hips come up, you reach over, grab your shins, open out for the landing, balls of the feet, bend your knees. Okay, with the Russian front flip, exactly the same. Remember to block. Okay, your arms come around and then back, connected to your hips. So as your arms go up, your hips come up nice and high, your chest comes forward. Okay, and your hands and chest go down to your knees. You grab underneath your leg, ready to open out for the landing, balls of the feet, slight bend in your knees. Okay. Right guys, that is the end of my front flip tutorial. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube, my Team Spar Freeruns YouTube. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything else where you can see me when I'm not doing free running, or just see other videos which I post regularly. Drop a comment down below, let me know what tutorial you want to see next. If you have any questions or anything, again, drop that in the comment. Drop me a video on Facebook if you need some help with it, and I'll try and message you directly. Apart from that, take care, train safe, peace.